part 2, the one after the trip. Welcome to the Self-Concept Bestie podcast. I'm your host, Laura. As for some of you who are my committed listeners, you'll notice that this was not launched Friday morning. And it was because Thursday when I recorded it, for some reason it did not pick it up. So I am now sitting here Friday night, getting the time to sit and tell you about my experience, about my journey, about my little holiday that will last and live with me forever. So, as if you've listened to the part 1, and if you haven't, go ahead and stop this podcast just now and go back to part 1 and give that a listen first. So I was very nervous. I was very uncertain about going into the unknown. What does that look like? You're me in a car with my dog and my friend. No plan, no route, no really anything. But you know what? I'm willing to go and have the experience of a lifetime. I had some tinted moisturiser packed. I had my eyebrow gel. And that was pretty much about it. Didn't know if I was going to be able to get a shower. Nothing. I never knew a thing what was going on. It was just that, let's get in the car and go. So started off on Sunday night. You know what? We were going to go Monday morning, but we thought, what? Why wait? Why are we waiting? And again, it would have been one of them, like a hurdle, like, oh, we'll just wait till Monday. But why? Why were we going to wait till Monday? So Sunday night we headed off and we drove right over through Loch Lomond and stopped at the Drovers Inn. And it's like a pub, but it's actually a hotel as well, and it's got spooky rooms, apparently. I never seen any ghosts when I was there. And after our meal, we headed off up into... Wait, I'm needing to try and remember my timeline now. I should have had this written down. So we drove over into Glencoe. That was it. And we're looking for somewhere to stay. Like, where are we going to stay tonight? But we actually realised how we were blacking out the windows. So, as any normal person would do, they'll think, well, we've not came prepared. We've not ordered anything off Amazon. What'll work? You know what? Some sellotape and a roll of black bags. Let's go. So stopped at Co-op, roll of black bags, sellotape, and of course, a little bottle of wine to toast the start of the holiday. And we're driving. We couldn't find anywhere. We were not wanting to be paying in campsites or anything. So it was just, let's go. Let's just figure out somewhere at the side of the road, but also needed somewhere that was like safe enough to let the dog out. So we were driving. We kind of drove through Glencoe, and then we're driving on our way to Kinlochleven. And when we were on this road, my friend went, Laura, I just seen an opening. Now, I mean, it is just woods at the side of us. And there's this tiny opening with like a silver barrier that said max 2 metres. And we drive down and everything just opened up in front of us. You've got the mountains at either side, the loch down the middle, and this beautiful area where there was a small camper van and 2 cars. And there was a stag in the middle right there, and almost within touching distance to us. And I remember it took my breath away. I was like, how did we get so lucky? But then, of course, we got lucky. I knew we were going to find somewhere great. I knew that we were going to see these amazing views on our travels. Park up the car, get sorted, blow up airbeds, cozy in the... Well, actually, I started unpacking the camping chairs, and I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. These midges they were on fire. But luckily, I had the skin so soft, so spraying all around the car, all around me and my friend, the dog. And actually, they didn't come in, so we were able to lie in the car and open the boot and sit with my cup of wine in silence and just literally see the sun setting over Glencoe. And that was almost enough for me at that point. I was like sitting there, like, I've made it. I have made it. And one of the reasons for that was because I have been saying for so long, actually longer than I would like to admit, that I've wanted to go and travel around Scotland. I know, I live in Scotland, I know how beautiful it is, but have I went around and seen these places with my own eyes, embraced that? No. And one of the reasons was because before, in my head, it was, right, okay, you need a hotel, or you need to hire a camper van, or there was always this massive cost element to doing that. But through growing, through embracing more of my nature, spiritual side, I realised actually you don't need any of that. You just need your car and a blow-up airbed. Fine, perfect. Why not? I don't need to stay in fancy hotels. I didn't want to, actually. This is what I wanted. I couldn't get the views that I had in any sort of hotel. And it made me realise that there was always hurdles for not doing something. It was almost, right, okay, well, when we've got enough money, we would go and do that because it's going to cost X amount. It's really expensive to travel Scotland. But guess what? That was my perception. That was my closed-minded brain that there was only one way to do it. But when I've started opening up and seeing different opportunities, I realised there is not just one way to do it. There's so many different ways that you can do it. So let's just embrace what is. You want to go and do it? You know what? Let's make it work. Let's make it work. Even although there is no toilets, there's no anywhere to get showers, nothing. Let's embrace it. And did I get stung by a nettle on my ass? Yes, I did. While I was squatting for a pee. Yep. Did I see that as a problem? I was actually laughing because I'm like, you know what, this is what it's about, eh? And it was like the nip didn't even really bother me because you just had to embrace it. What am I going to moan about it? No, it was actually, do you know what, this is what it's like, being in nature where you like accidentally are squatting doing a pee and fall over a little bit and sting yourself in a jaggy nettle because it's getting dark. It actually added to the experience, if I'm honest. So, what a night. Just in the car, just that. And it actually felt very safe. That was one thing I noticed, that I felt very safe and settled. And that was something I was kind of worried about, was I going to feel safe, like being in the car, but the car locked. And it was actually, I felt so safe. And Lenny, the guard dog, he would bark if anybody came near the car anyway. Next morning you wake up and you open the boot and again the sun is splitting the skies. That view is there. It is clear. It is crisp. The fresh air coming in, sitting with a cold coffee. And again, just realising I've made it. Like, I'm actually here. I'm living this. I'm actually living a version of me that I once dreamed of. I'm living a life that Laura back then dreamed of being that free, dreamed of not caring what her hair was looking like or that she never had any makeup on. I dreamed about being that girl. And in that moment I realised I am her now. This is no longer a dream. This is no longer somebody I'm manifesting. This is no longer somebody I am trying to become. I am her. I am her already. So then, get back in the car. Where to today? Where are we going to go? So we headed over into Fort William. And we never really went into like the town or anything of Fort William. We drove through it, went to Lidl, got our bacon, our sausages, our burgers for our mini barbecue, and went to Glen Nevis. Parked the car and went for the most beautiful walk. And then we drove up the Glen. And even just driving up the Glen, the views are just spectacular. And we drove all the way up the Glen and we done the hike to Steel Falls. Now that was tough going. I'm so glad it was dry, because if it's raining, like the rainwater actually like would be coming down and below your feet at some parts. And I don't know if anyone else is like this, but see when you're going somewhere that you don't know, it feels like it takes forever. Because I was so hot. I'd had something to eat, but I was feeling kind of dizzy. But I think it was because I was looking down at my feet all the time, like watching where I was stepping, because sometimes you were on like cliff edges. But anyway, we eventually got there. And again, it just opened up. You're almost in the middle of this valley, and right in front of you is this massive waterfall coming down the mountains. And we're able to go over to the freshwater lake. And of course, I took my shoes and socks off and had a paddle, and Lenny had a wee drink of water, and just sat on the grass and just listened to the sound of that water, listening to the kids running around, listening to people walking past, watching people go over the rope bridge, and just appreciating that beauty that was all around. And in that moment, I remember thinking, why do we put filters on everything? Why are we so quick to filter our life when actually the beauty is already in front of us? And I'm not actually talking here about the mountain views. I'm talking about the beauty within us. And I was sitting there and I'm like, we are all beautiful humans in our own right. But we're in this culture now where everything has to be perfect. You want to put a filter on it so what you think looks better, but actually you're beautiful already. So why we want to put filters on anything? I was like, you know what? We need to embrace our natural beauty. And I suppose that's what I was doing, because I never did any makeup with me. And by the way, if you told Laura a year ago, let's just go out and not have your mascara on, I would have laughed, because I was a person that when I didn't wear mascara, I looked ill. But I've changed the way I see myself now. I changed the way I've spoke to myself about that. And now I actually see that natural beauty without any makeup, and I don't need to filter anything. A little bit of natural light. And that's exactly when you're out in that nature with that natural light, there is no filter needed. Actually, filters sometimes, I think, do an injustice, if I'm being honest. But, so anyway, back to the car we went. We're like, where are we going to sleep tonight? So my friend actually used to come there with his family. So we went around into the campsite and we found toilets and shower cubicles that were not manned. So we're like, yes, we can get a shower tonight. They were beautiful. Got in, got a shower, had our barbecue in this beautiful little just grassy area with the boot open, and we just paid £10 to park in the Glen Nevis, the Ben Nevis car park. So that was perfect. What was a tenner for you just being really central for where we were wanting to go to the next day? And then we decided to take a walk up to the Ben Nevis Inn, and that sits right at the foot of Ben Nevis. And the sun was splitting the skies. And you're just surrounded by mountains. You can see Ben Nevis away in the background, and you can see all the hikers coming down after climbing it and speaking to them. And they're like, this was a once in a lifetime. And I almost felt like saying, yeah, you're telling me. I've not actually climbed the hill, but just being here is a once in a lifetime. I sat with a beer and just took it all in and then headed to bed. Again, obviously, black bags and sellotape were up. We were all organised. This was actually like the running joke. They were just every night putting new black bags and sellotape on. But you know what actually worked? And it's that improvising, isn't it? It's like, right, is this a problem here? Actually, no, it's not. We've got a solution. Is it maybe the solution that, you would maybe want to put on Instagram, or people would think is put on Instagram? No, but actually it was real. It was just real. So I don't actually see problems. We have to see a solution. We have to see opportunity. And actually, it was just opportunity to have fun. It was an opportunity to open up our minds to how else are we going to make this work. So the next day we drove past the Glenfinnan Viaduct, the big Harry Potter bridge, and oh my God, being able to stand at the foot of that. And again, the sun was splitting the skies. It was the most incredible thing. And it actually wasn't too busy. Got some amazing photos. and just again taking it in. But do you know what? One of the things we started talking about was the structure of the bridge. Like, how is that being made? Like, how is the curvature is so perfect? And the technology that we've got nowadays, actually, could they do that? I don't, yeah, obviously, probably. But back in, I think it was opened in 1901. It was built in 1893, I want to say, if my memory serves me right. Like, they didn't have drones. They didn't have, like, specialist equipment. But there's this amazing, beautiful bridge that connects through, like, these mountains. It was pretty incredible to see. Jumped back in the car and on our way to Arisake, and my friend's mum and dad was staying there. They were on a croft with their camper van and we went and surprised them. But before we done that, we went to Rue Beach. Now, on my list of things, I had a few list of things that I wanted to tick off on this trip. And I wanted to see these beautiful white sandy beaches. So Rue Beach was the first one. And again, it was one of them, you park the car and you have to hike to the beach. And it was a good 40 minute walk through farmers' fields. And again, I'm glad it was dry, because if not, it would have been really muddy. But it was a really, really nice walk. And I almost thought, are we ever getting here? And then you just kind of you walk up almost a hill when you get to the top, and then there is the beach. And I mean, it's like nothing you've ever seen before. And I went down onto the sand, and it was so white, so crisp. It was like crushed up bits of shell almost. And again, I had to paddle in the sea. And do you know another thing I learned about myself? I don't really like wet sand on my feet, but that was not going to let that stop me from going in there. So shoes and socks off, paddling in the water. And I just sat at the side after, let them dry, wiped them off a bit and got my shoes on. And do you know what? It didn't actually bother me. That was something that I'd kind of built up in my head. Oh, I don't like the feeling of it. But actually, was I going to let that stop me? No. So did the feeling even bother me? No. Because my perception had shifted from this is a problem to, no, I'm wanting to do this, I'm going to do it. If I'm a bit uncomfortable, that's okay. But actually, it turns out I wasn't. And how many times do we question or stop ourselves from doing something because we think we don't like it, or it's going to make us uncomfortable or feel uncomfortable, or we're maybe going to get a bit wet. So we stop ourselves from doing things. But why? Because I knew on this trip I was not wanting to come away with any regrets. Like, oh, I wish I'd put my feet in that sea. I wish I had done this. So I wanted to embrace it all. I surprised my friends' mum and dad. They were so happy to see us in another barbecue. And being able to look over, they were staying on a croft. There was cows and horses right up near us, looking over at Arisake. You could see sky in the background. And the next day we went to another beautiful beach. It was I keep on saying this wrong, Cambastarak Beach. And again, another beautiful white sandy beach. Now, it was a bit cloudy that day, so it wasn't as maybe quote unquote as beautiful maybe as people would think, but actually it was, because I was there, I was experiencing it. And yes, my feet were in that sea, I was running in that water, and everything about it was just amazing. Being there, seeing Lenny like running around, so happy. That's my dog, by the way. So happy in the sea, and just embracing that. Almost, you know, like a tourist. You know, you see all these tourists, but I was like, I'm a tourist. I know I'm from Scotland, but I'm actually a tourist right now. And yes, I am absolutely loving it. And the next day we knew we were going to head off to Skye, so we went into my lake and had some beautiful lunch and had a wee walk around all the shops, and just again being able to see that. Went to the Loch Morar. And the sheer, like, how big these lochs are. Like, you know, you think about maybe driving down a loch, it's miles and miles and miles. But there was just beauty constantly. You weren't bothered about the distance. And then we headed to the Isle of Skye. Now, we knew we wanted to do the fairy pools, but we weren't really wanting to go to the typical fairy pools. They're everybody goes there. So we found these other fairy pools in Torrin, and it was small waterfalls with fairy pools all dotted up, and oh my God, it was amazing. And yes, I stripped off down to my bra and pants and was in the fairy pools swimming, because why not? Again, I was thinking, oh my God, but what am I going to do in my underwear? Do you know what? Who cares? I'm just going to put my coat on. Nobody's going to know that I've not got a bra on under it. Who cares? Do I want to regret not doing it? Exactly. So let's get in. And I remember I was standing in that fairy pool, and I remember just putting my hands in there and it's like shouting, not like screaming, shouting. And I remember laughing because there was nobody around. And that way, that like, nobody can hear me right now. And then I had this wave of emotion come over me. And I just remember this voice in my head saying, everything's going to be okay, Laura. Everything is going to be okay. And I could feel it. I could almost feel it. And then we headed into Portree, so that's like the bigger town, some beautiful views, managed to find this hidden viewpoint, and again needed to find somewhere to sleep that night. So we're driving. I took us a detour because I wanted to go to Talisker Beach, but didn't research it well enough, and that was a 40-minute walk. But we wanted somewhere we could park the car. So that was, got there all the way back, sheep in the middle of the road, we 5 miles an hour waiting on them passing us. And we started heading the way we would head as if we're going out of Skye to go home for the next day. And I was like, oh, here's an opening here. So we drive in. And again, what is it? It's 2 mountains at the side with a lock in the middle. It was, I'm like, how could, actually, of course we got that lucky. Of course we did. We were here to see this kind of thing, and that's what we're getting. Another barbecue that night. There was actually no midges really that night. And I remember I was singing, I was dancing with the music on. And I'm like, I am just out. It was raining actually. Just out dancing in the rain. Eye of the sky. With a barbecue and a cup of wine. Does life get any better than this? That's what I was saying to myself. Like, can I feel any more free? Can I feel any more fuller? Can I feel any more joy right now than what I do? And again, in that moment, like, I am living the life I once dreamed of. I have that inner happiness, that feeling that we're all looking for, and it's there, it's within me. I'm living this. And I realised, how many times do we keep on making excuses? You know, we always say, let's go when, and we never actually do it, and we stop living our life. But it's all perception. The problems are, we're seeing them as a problem, but actually that's your perception on that, because somebody else would see a solution. So the next time you're thinking about going somewhere and it's problem after problem after problem, just ask yourself, is this actually a problem? Or is there a solution that I've not just opened my mind up to think about yet? And I would say the biggest thing that trip in Scotland gave me, it wasn't the memories. Don't get me wrong. The memories are there and you can't put a price on that experience. But it gave me evidence that the life I'm creating actually fits me. It gave me that trust in myself to believe that I can go and do the things that are scary. I felt nervous to start with, and oh my God, there was nothing to feel nervous about. Actually, I had the time of my life. So by trusting myself, following through on that dream that I had and showing up for me and doing it and making it work, even when there maybe was some, could have been problems, we found a solution and we went anyway. So if there's anything I've realised now is, you know what, take the trip, go and make the memories, get out and explore, go and do what sets your soul on fire, because maybe the life that you're wanting doesn't begin when everything changes. Maybe it begins the day you realise you're finally enjoying the life you are living today. Thank you so much for listening. And as always, today has already been an amazing day.